So now let's move on to question number 19. What is the value of tan 92 pi by 3? So first of all, a trigonometric ratio can be found using what we call as a unit circle. Unit circle is nothing but it's a circle with a radius of 1. If a central angle of a unit circle in the xy plane centered at the origin, this will be the origin, has its starting side on the positive x-axis and its terminal side intersects the circle at the point x comma y. So terminal side, if it intersects at the circle at any point x comma y, this could be x comma y, this could be x comma y, then the value of the tangent of the central angle is equal to y coordinate. So if we keep the radius as always 1, tan theta anytime by taking the y coordinate divided by the x coordinate. So it's easy for us to solve the value of tan theta. So one of the examples, if you take, let's say we take this tan of 120 degrees. So if you take and we apply the Pythagorean theorem is if you square the hypotenuse, it is equal to the sum of one of the legs, which is a square, plus the other leg, which is b square. So a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. So I have shown it with this example. Because the radius is always maintained as 1, that will always form the hypotenuse. 1 squared is equal to negative half square plus square root of 3 by 2 square, and you can see that negative 1 by 2 square simplifies to quarter and square root of 3 by 2 it simplifies to 3 by 4. That when you add you will get 4 by 4, which is nothing but 1. So this shows that you take any points like this all over and every time it will solve using Pythagorean theorem. So keeping a unit circle helps us to solve the value of theta. And next thing is what we call as the coterminal angles. What are coterminal angles? Now this 92 pi by 3 is a very big angle. So we have to find out how many times it went around that circle, because circle is something it keeps rotating around itself, or in other words it will form what we call as coterminal angles. They are angles in standard position, angles with the initial side on the positive x-axis, and then it will have a common terminal. For example, if you take 30, negative 330 is also coterminal, and 390, they are all coterminal angles. So what about this 92 pi by 3? To find out 92 pi by 3, we have to divide it by 2 pi. Now we are thinking in terms of radians, but actually what we mean is 360 degrees. How many 360 degrees are there in this 92 pi by 3, or how many times this is going round and round? So if we simplify this, so you can use a calculator. So 92 divided by 3, if it is divided by 2, we'll get 15.33. That means 15 times it's circling, and then 0.33 is the angle where it stops. That's what it means. So we will write that in terms of fractions now. So if we write it in terms of fractions, this 92 pi by 3 can be written as 15 revolutions plus another 2 by 3 revolutions. Or in other words, this 92 pi by 3 is coterminal with 2 pi by 3. If you find the tan of 2 pi by 3, it will be the same as finding tan of 92 pi by 3, because they are both coterminal angles. So in general, the formula is if theta is any angle, then theta plus n times 360. So in this case, instead of 360, if you think in terms of radians, we can say theta plus n times 2 pi is a coterminal angle with theta for all non-zero integer n. In our case, 2 pi by 3 plus 15 times 2 pi we got. So that means we got 15 360 degrees, and then the angle stopped at 2 pi by 3. So even if we find tan of 2 pi by 3, we will get the answer. 92 pi by 3 is a result of 15 revolutions from its starting side on the positive x-axis, followed by a rotation through 2 pi by 3 radians. So in other words, as I said, tan 92 pi by 3 is equal to tan 2 pi by 3. Now what is this 2 pi by 3? If you observe in the diagram, here is where you have 2 pi by 3. 2 pi by 3 is nothing but in terms of degrees 120 degrees actually. And 120 degrees, as you know, it is greater than 90 degrees and it is less than 180 degrees. Or in other words, 2 pi by 3, it lies between 90 degrees and 180 degrees, and in terms of radians, pi by 2 and pi. So 120 degrees is the same as, in this case, it follows that the terminal side of the angle is in quadrant 2. This is quadrant 2 and it forms an angle of pi by 3 or 60 degrees. So with the negative x-axis, therefore the terminal side of the angle intersects the unit circle at the point. I have already circled it. Negative half comma square root of 3 by 2. Tan of, once more I will mark it, this is 2 pi by 3, and so tan of 2 pi by 3 is equal to square root of 3 by 2, which is the y coordinate, divided by the x coordinate, which is negative half. And when you divide fractions, you have to multiply with the reciprocal. And remember, there is a negative sign also. So second quadrant means you will have a negative sign. So in fact, you can eliminate answer choice C and D. And after simplification, you can see that square root of 3. Answer choice A is the correct answer. So for this question, you should know the concept of a unit circle, and you should also know the concept of the coterminal angle also. That is, how many times this 92 pi by 3, what is the equivalent coterminal angle, you have to find out, and using that you can simplify and get the answer. You can directly use the calculator also to calculate this actually. So I hope it's clear.